Number 1. The tooth fairy was basically a black market dealer. As a kid, losing a tooth was awesome. You shoved that little calcium nugget under your pillow, went to sleep, and woke up richer. Magic. Or so you thought. Here's the reality. The tooth fairy is essentially a socially approved body parts trafficker. Think about it, you hand over a piece of your skeleton, and a mysterious stranger swaps it for money. If this happened with any other part of your body, we'd call it evidence in a crime scene. Anthropologists say the whole tooth ritual thing isn't just Western cultures all over the world have done it. Vikings supposedly paid kids for teeth because they believed they brought good luck in battle, which means, yes, grown men went to war with necklaces of children's teeth. Sleep tight, and the money under the pillow part? That's just a modernized bribe to make sure you don't panic about bits of your body falling off. It's capitalism's way of saying, congrats, you're falling apart. Here's $5. So every time you fondly remember the tooth fairy, just picture a tiny, winged black market collector hoarding teeth in a vault somewhere. The magic's still there, it's just wearing a trench coat. Number 2. Santa Claus is the original surveillance state. Santa, jolly old man, giver of gifts, inspiration for Coca-Cola ads, and also the creepiest data collector in history. Think about the lyrics. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. That's not festive, that's a restraining order waiting to happen. The guy has a database of your moral behavior, updated in real time, cross-referenced with your location and sleeping patterns. That's not Christmas cheer, that's the NSA with candy canes. Historically, the be good or else tradition wasn't even subtle. In older European versions, if you were bad, you didn't get coal, you got kidnapped by Krampus, a horned demon who beat you with sticks and stuffed you into a sack. The Santa we know now is the sanitized version. Instead of abduction, you just don't get the Lego set you wanted. But the core is the same: constant surveillance equals obedience. It's festive behavioral conditioning wrapped in red velvet and jingles. So yeah, Santa might bring you presents. But he's also running the most efficient, centuries-old global monitoring program. Merry Christmas, citizen. Number 3. Humpty Dumpty wasn't an egg. In every illustrated nursery rhyme book, Humpty Dumpty is a smiling egg in trousers. Cute. Harmless. Doomed. Except, and here's the weird part, Humpty Dumpty was never an egg. Not in the rhyme, not in the original context. The nursery rhyme makes zero mention of an egg. The whole egg thing only started showing up in illustrations in the 19th century. Historians think Humpty Dumpty was slang for a clumsy person or a short, stocky man. In some versions, it was even a reference to a large cannon used in the English Civil War that fell from a wall and couldn't be put back together, which makes that rhyme way less whimsical and way more explosive death. So yeah, all those cute cartoons of Humpty just cracking a little? Lies. In reality, we were either singing about a man falling to his death or a weapon of war smashing into rubble. It's amazing how childhood art can turn a 17th century accident or military disaster into, oh, poor Eggy. Number 4. Ring Around the Rosie is basically a plague anthem. You thought it was just a cute circle game. You hold hands, skip around, and fall down laughing. Adorable, right? Yeah. It's about the Black Death. The Rosie is thought to refer to the red rash that was a symptom of the plague. Pocket full of posies? People used to carry flowers or herbs in their pockets to mask the smell of decay and, in their minds, protect themselves from disease. Ashes, or in some versions, a tissue, that's sneezing, or cremation, and we all fall down? Well, that's just poetic shorthand for everyone dies horribly. Whether or not every detail is historically accurate is still debated, but the general vibe is clear. You were literally playing make-believe with one of the deadliest pandemics in history. So the next time you see kids giggling through Ring Around the Rosie, remember they're reenacting the symptoms and aftermath of mass death. Childhood really is magical. Number 5. The Pied Piper was basically a revenge kidnapper. Ah, the Pied Piper, the magical guy in colorful clothes who played a flute and led all the rats out of Hamelin. A hero, right? Yeah. Until you get to the second half of the story that children's books politely skip. In the original legend, the townspeople refused to pay him after the rat job. So what did the Piper do? He came back. But this time, instead of charming rodents, he played his music and lured away all the children of Hamelin. Depending on the version, the kids were never seen again, which is either a horrifying mass kidnapping or, in some darker tellings, straight-up mass death. Some historians think it's a metaphor for the plague, children's crusades, or even recruitment into war. But the sanitized version turned him into a quirky side character instead of the world's most whimsical child thief. So yeah, if you ever feel bad for the Pied Piper because he got stiffed on a job, just remember, he didn't file a complaint, he pulled off the most musical act of revenge in folklore history. Number 6. Goldilocks wasn't cute, she was a criminal. The story we tell kids. A sweet, curious little girl stumbles into a bear family's home, tries some porridge, sits in some chairs, takes a nap, gets startled, and runs away. The original story? Not so. Storybook. Goldilocks didn't start as a blonde child. Early versions from the 1802nd describe her as an old, unpleasant woman, sometimes even a vagrant, who breaks into the bear's house and steals their food. There's no, oops, my bad. Here she was basically a squatter with bad manners. In some older tellings, she doesn't run away at the end, the bears catch her. And depending on which grim version you read, she's either chased off, thrown out the window, or eaten. Yep, the moral was less, don't touch other people's stuff, and more, breaking and entering into a bear's home will get you murdered. The modern kid-friendly version kept the porridge but threw out the felony and the bear attack. Now it's a quirky fairy tale instead of a cautionary, don't be a home-invading burglar. PSA. Number 7. Sleeping Beauty's wake-up wasn't romantic. The modern version. A princess is cursed to sleep forever until a handsome prince kisses her. He shows up, plants one on her, she wakes up, they live happily ever after. Sweet, right? The original version? Buckle up. In the earliest telling, Sunday, Moon, and Talia from the 1602nd are, Prince doesn't kiss her. He finds her unconscious and, takes certain liberties. She wakes up months later because she's giving birth to twins. Romantic. The king who did this is already married, and the queen, as you can guess, isn't thrilled. She tries to kill Talia and the babies, but fails. Eventually, the king dumps his queen for Talia. The curse? Still broken, somehow. The moral? Apparently fate is weird, and consent wasn't invented yet. Disney's version is all glitter, castles, and magical kisses. The original is a medieval mix of assault, adultery, and attempted cannibalism, basically Game of Thrones in a corset. Number 8. The Little Mermaid's ending was pure misery. Disney's mermaid gets the guy, gets the castle, and gets a happy ending complete with an upbeat musical number. Hans Christian Andersen's original mermaid? Not so lucky. In the original 1837 tale, the mermaid trades her voice for legs, but every step feels like she's walking on knives. The prince marries someone else, because apparently he just liked her as a friend. And the sea witch? Totally fine. No ship-stabbing redemption arc here. At the end, the mermaid is given a choice: kill the prince and live, or let him be happy and die herself. She chooses to spare him, jumps into the sea, and dissolves into sea foam. Yep, she doesn't get love, she doesn't get her voice back, and she literally ceases to exist. Andersen claimed this was about the purity of sacrifice, but it's basically just a 19th century version of you did everything right and still lost. Number 9. Jack and the Beanstalk was a home invasion story. We grew up thinking Jack was the underdog hero. Poor kid trades a cow for magic beans, climbs a beanstalk, outsmarts a giant, and lives happily ever after with a pot of gold. Yay. Teamwork and bravery. Except, Jack is basically a serial burglar with an agricultural ladder. In the original versions, the giant isn't some random villain terrorizing villages, he's just chilling in his own castle, minding his giant business. Jack climbs up, steals gold, comes back, steals a golden harp, comes back again to steal a goose that lays golden eggs, and when the giant finally chases him, Jack straight up murders him by chopping down the beanstalk. Some even older versions add a little justification, like the giant maybe stole the gold from Jack's father, but even then, Jack's main strategy is break in, loot, and commit giant homicide. Modern retellings frame it as bravery, but if you swap giant for your neighbor and beanstalk for fire escape, congratulations, you've just described a felony. Number 10. Cinderella's sisters got foot surgery. Disney's Cinderella is all singing birds and magical pumpkin carriages. But the Grimm's version? Oh, it's grim all right. In the original 1812 tale, when the prince arrives with the glass slipper, the evil stepmother tells her daughters to make it fit. How? By cutting off parts of their feet. One slices off her toes, the other her heel. Each time, the prince is fooled until birds point out the trail of blood leaking from the shoe. And it doesn't stop there. At Cinderella's wedding, those same birds peck out both sisters' eyes as punishment. The moral in the original wasn't be kind and patient. It was more like, don't mutilate yourself to impress a man. And also beware of vengeful poultry. The sanitized versions left out the gore and bird-based revenge. But in the real story, Cinderella didn't just win, she obliterated the competition. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.